So guys, what is a project? What is a project, guys? How do you define a project? How do you define a project, guys? Now, the project management body from PMI defines the project like this. A project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result, right? So based on this definition, can we say projects are temporary? Project is a temporary effort. Project is a temporary organization, right? That results into creation of a new product, unique product, or a unique service, or a unique result. So some of the characteristics of the project are very, very visible from this basic definition itself. So guys, are projects temporary? Are projects temporary? What does it mean when we say projects are temporary? It means every project will have finite start and finite end date. They will not run forever. Do projects have finite start and finite end date, guys? Yes or no?
Yes, Pankaj.
So, and what is the ultimate outcome of the project? Projects lead to creation of a unique product, unique service, or a unique result. Now, can you give me any example of unique product? A new app, right? A fitness app or a fintech app, right? Or maybe a new model of a mobile phone, a new model of a car. They're all unique products, right? Which are a result of a project. Now, can you give me some examples of unique service? Right? A project can create a unique product or unique service or unique result. Give me an example of unique service.
Car servicing.
Okay. Okay. When you take your car for a service to a service center, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or post-production support.
No, see, that is not a project. Post project support is not a,
It's operations. Yeah.
it's operations, right?
Yeah.
See, when from the, fintech products like, Paytm or Google Pay, see, they are product from the perspective of the creator, but from our perspective, from the consumer's perspective, are they services or not? Are they unique services or not? What do you say?
Yeah, it's a service
You know,
for online payment.
a cab management service like Uber, is Uber a service or not? A service built around an app, right? Is it a unique service or not?
Yeah.
Now, can you give me any example of unique result? See, COVID vaccine or any other invention, any other outcome, is it a result or not? Yes or no, guys?
Yes.
So, the definition says a project is a temporary effort or endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result, right? Are you fine with this definition? Do you agree with this, Mesara? Pallavi?
Yes.
Ruchi? Okay. Now let's talk about some other important characteristics of the project as well. Projects are progressively elaborated, right? What does it mean when I say progressive elaboration? See, every project starts with a vision, guys. Yes or no? Do projects start with a vision or an end goal? Right? the vision gets converted into a roadmap or a high-level plan. As we move forward in the project, the requirements unfold. We get more and more clarity about the project. As the requirements unfold, as we get more and more clarity on the project, we can refine the plan. Does it happen or not? Or do projects get progressively elaborated or not as we move forward? Yes or no? Anuj, what do you think?
Yeah,
Right?
that's correct.
Ekta, Mesara, Pallavi, do projects get progressively elaborated?
Yes.
See, as we move forward, the requirements unfold, right? This helps us to plan the projects in more details, right? Now, in fact, in front of you right now, there is a cone of uncertainty curve. Can you see this diagram, the cone of uncertainty? Now, the y-axis in this cone of uncertainty represents the y-axis represents the level accuracy level of the estimate, right? And the x-axis is time. This is time. This x-axis is time, right? And the y-axis is the accuracy level of estimates, right? This is accuracy. Now, tell me, guys, think about it. What conclusion can be drawn from this graph, right? The y-axis is accuracy, right? And the x-axis is time. And this curve is called as cone of uncertainty. And this is based on progressive elaboration characteristic of a project. Projects are progressively elaborated, right? So tell me, guys, what do you interpret? What do you understand from this?
So basically, it says as the time proceeds, the budgetary estimates and the other estimates are more accurate. In the beginning, the accuracy is less. That is like minus 25 to 75%. The accuracy can vary, and as soon as we proceed with the project and time lapse, we become more accurate.
Okay, so does it say that as we move forward, since we get more and more clarity on the project, right, the accuracy is improving?
Yeah.
Right? The accuracy level is improving as we move forward. Yes or no? What do you
Yes.
think, Ruchi? Ruchi, what do you think about this? What do you say?
It's improving.
Yeah. Now, suppose at this point, right? Let's say this point, right, which I am highlighting. Right? At this point, if I estimate a project to be 10 months, right? Again, I'm using the duration, but same is applicable for the cost also, right? If I estimate a project to be 10 months, right? Based at a very initial stage, that means based on very less knowledge about the project, right? Based on very high level requirement of the project, I have estimated to be 10 months, right? At this point, right? Now, what will, based on this accuracy level of minus 25% to 75%, what will be the estimation range, guys? What will be the range of estimation? Guys, am I audible? Now tell me, will the range of estimation be this It's minus 25 to 75%. So will this be the range of estimates? 7.5 months. I'm not writing the units to 17.5. Will this be the range of, right? Yes or no? The actual estimate may lie in this range from 7.5 to 17.5. Because at this level, the accuracy level is minus 25 to plus 75%. Is that okay? Yes or no? What do you think, Mesara?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, suppose at this level, I estimated the project to be 10 months. At this level, right? It seems to be minus 10 to 25%. What should be the range?
7.5 to 12.5.
No, this is 10%. This is 10% to 25%, right? Minus 10 to 25. So this 25, so minus 10 means 9, right?
Right. 9 to 12.
And 25% will be 12.5. This will be the range, right? And at this point, if I estimate the project to be 10 months, at this point, what will be the accuracy? This is minus 5% to plus 10%. So will it be 9.5 to how much? 9.5 to 11? Yes or no? Yeah. Pallavi, Mesara, Ekta, Ruchi, Anuj, are you getting how it is 9.5 to 11?
No, I'm not. Because earlier we mentioned 9 to 12.5. So how come?
See, the range is this. What is the range? If you look at this, what is the range?
Pankaj, on x-axis, what is the time line we have taken? Maybe that's not clear.
See, I have taken a timeline as the project is progressing forward, right? So, initially when you have started the
So, like,
project, you
what's
have
the
very less,
period? What's the period?
not
Is it
required to be known.
okay?
Now, see, but one thing, Ekta, see, a lot of people like Ruchi, you are in HCL. Ruchi, do you work for HCL?
Yes. I'm in HCL.
Right? And Ekta, you are also from a service background,
Yes.
right? You guys are suppliers, right? You guys are suppliers. And Anuj, are you from service background or from product background?
Service.
Which is service?
Service.
Anuj,
Yeah.
service. Anuj, you are
Serv
also from service.
service.
So Anuj, you will never see project here. Generally, you will not see many times. Most of the times, you will not see unless and until it's a strategic project. A customer initiates project at this point of time. A customer initiates project at this level. By the time you receive RFP, by the time you receive your request for proposal, right? Obviously, you respond to the proposals, right, Anuj?
Correct.
By the
Yeah,
time
yeah.
you receive the proposal, project is either at this stage or this stage most of the time. Right? Now, see, Ruchi, what I'm saying is at this level, at a very high level stage, when customer has just thought of, initiating a project, they have very high level information that, okay, they will create this product, right? The,
Yes.
the estimation can vary from minus 25% to plus 75%. Suppose they estimated a ballpark figure of 10 months. At this point, the variation can be from minus 25% to plus 75. The plus 70, what is the plus 75 of this? 17.5. What is minus 25 of this? 7.5, right? And suppose, as we move forward, suppose we reach at this level. At this level, what is the variation? -10 to +25. If you estimate the project as 10 months, the variation can be -10% to 25%, which leads to 9 to 12.5. And at this level, right, you have almost good amount of clarity on the project, right? When you have very good amount of clarity on the project, what is the variation? -5% to +10%. So what is +10% of 10 months? 11. What is -5%? 9.5. That's why the range will be 9.5 to 11. Is that okay?
Which means the more the time, the more we have clarity.
See, obviously, because as the time moves, as you move forward, do you get more clarity or not?
Yes, we do.
Right? You get
Yes,
more clarity as you move forward, right?
correct.
Now, a project can come at this point also. A project can come to supplier at this point also and this point also. Now, tell
Correct.
me, principally, if you are giving an estimate at this level, Mesara, if as a supplier you are giving estimate at this level to the customer, should you commit or should you just give an idea?
Idea.
Only idea, right? See, commitment should be made at this level, which is called as definitive estimates. Right? This is called as, at this point, when you do estimation, this is called as order of magnitude or rough order of magnitude, right? This is called as definitive estimates. Commitment should be made at this level only when you have definitive estimates. Is that okay? Is that okay, guys?
Yeah.
Any questions so far? Any questions, guys? No questions? Now, a question to all of you. Can you look at this point? The beginning? Now tell me, at this point, can you do something? At this point, see, though you have very little knowledge about the project, but is there any way to improve the accuracy level? See, this 7.5 to 17.5 here is a worst case scenario. But is there anything you can do to improve the accuracy level? Suppose at this level, you bring in some subject matter experts who have worked in similar kind of projects before, multiple times, right? Will it help you to improve the accuracy level of estimates, Mesara?
Yes.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, based on the analogous project also, it will help.
Yeah, if you have if you have some historical data, right? You can use subject matter experts, you can use historical data, plus you can take some risk into consideration to improve the accuracy level, right? Is that fine, guys?
Yes.
Now, see the planning technique in a project which is universally used based on this progressive elaboration characteristic of the project, right? The planning technique which is used based on this progressive elaboration characteristic of the project is called as rolling wave planning. Guys, have you heard about rolling wave planning technique? Which means planning in steps, right? Which means planning in steps. Now, what do you do in rolling wave planning? Now tell me, if I am suppose at this point, right? Suppose we have to deliver a project in 3 stages, right? Or 3 phases. If I am at this point, standing at this point, standing at this point, can I plan my planning horizon? A point till which I can see clearly is my first stage, right? Suppose I can see very clearly till this point. right, at my first stage, and my stages are based on my planning horizon. Planning horizon means a horizon till which I can see very, very clearly. So, can I have a detailed plan for this stage? Right? But I don't have much clarity about stage 2 and 3. Now tell me, should I ignore the plan for 2 and 3, stage 2 and stage 3, or should I have some high level plan for stage 2 and stage 3? Tell me, guys.
We should have a high level plan.
High level
for,
plan, right?
Yeah.
Right. So what we can do standing here, I can create a detailed plan for stage 1, right? And high level plan for stage 2 and stage 3. But tell me, when I'm close to the end of this stage, suppose I am here, when I'm close to the end of stage 1, can I create a detailed plan for stage 2? Because now I'm here, I have a clarity on what I'm going to do in the subsequent stage. I can have a detailed plan for stage 2, but high level plan for stage 3, right? Now, when I am close to the end of stage 2, I can have a detailed plan for stage 3. This means we are proceeding in steps, right? This means we are proceeding in steps. The detailed plan for the successor stage is created when I am close to the end of the preceding stage, right? This planning technique is called as rolling wave planning technique. Guys, any question on rolling wave planning technique? Any questions on rolling wave planning technique, guys?
No.
Basically,
No
one
questions?
wave completed, then second wave or next wave started.
Yeah, see what you can do. Yeah, Ruchi, you can think of one stage or one wave as a your planning horizon, because it is based on my planning horizon is a point till which I can see clearly, right? See, again, based on the nature of the project, my planning horizon can be 3 months, 2 months, or a month, right? Or 4 months, right? So these stages are based on my planning horizon. How far I can see very, very clearly. Now, at this point, I can see very clearly till the end of stage 1 or wave 1, which is my planning horizon, right? So I will plan this in details, but I will have high level plan for stage 2 and stage 3. But when I am close to the end of stage 1, I can see stage 2 very clearly. So at this point, I can plan stage 2 in details, right? And when I am close to the end of phase 2, I can plan stage 3 in details, right? This is called as rolling wave planning technique, right? Which means proceeding in steps. Now, as per rolling wave planning technique, the detailed plan of the successor stage is created when you are close to the end of the preceding stage. Is that okay? So, guys, are you okay with
Yes.
progressive elaboration characteristic of the project and the rolling wave planning technique? Are you fine with this, both the terms? Yes or no? Yeah, Anuj, are you okay with rolling wave planning? Pallavi, are you okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, perfect. Now, let's take some examples of the projects. Now, these are some of the examples of project: building a software, a major enhancement to the software, filming a motion picture, building a new office, designing a new product or service, creating an advertisement campaign, creating a new process with a business unit, moving from one building to another. Yeah, it's actually shifting your office from one building to another, right? Designing a space vehicle. Now, these are some of the examples of project. Now, can you give me some other example? Right? Can you give me some examples beyond this on on project? Guys, can you give me some more examples on projects? Building a fitness app, developing a fitness app, is it a project or not?
It's a project.
Right? Developing a cab management service is also a project. Right? Designing,
Yeah.
right? Designing your appraisal process, right? Is it a project or not? Right? Designing a performance appraisal process, is it a project?
Yeah.
Right? A major change to the project itself is a project, right? Right. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about, projects and operations. Let's compare both of them, right? Operations are also called as business as usual, right? Now, projects are generally unique, but operations are repetitive, right? Operations are repetitive. For example, building a new model of a car, developing a new model of a car, when the new model of a car is launched or any other product is launched, right? Is it a project or operations? Developing a new model,
Project.
it's a project, right? But when this new model is repetitively produced, right? When this new model is repetitively produced in an assembly line, right? For example, cars are produced on regular basis in a car assembly line or a television assembly line. Now, when they're repetitively produced, right, in assembly lines, is it a project or operations?
That's
Production.
operations
It's
because it's
operation, right?
in repetitive in
Repetitive.
nature.
It's repetitive, right? Operations are also called as business as usual, right? Now, just a question to you, guys. Do we expect benefits from the project? Ekta, do we expect benefits from the project? Guys, do we expect benefits from the project?
Yes, yes.
Now tell me, we expect benefits from the project. Now, the realization of those benefits, will it happen in operations or projects?
Within project only.
The realization of the benefits will happen in operations or during the execution of the project or a phase of the project. See, Ekta, when you build a highway, right? Building a highway is a project, right? Building an underpass is a project. Building a
Yes.
metro network between 2 points is a project. The benefit realization, does it happen during the construction of these highways or metros or underpass, right? Or the realization starts when the project is complete, people start using it.
Okay.
Right? The realization of benefits will always be in operations, right? For example, suppose you built an e-commerce portal, right? After the project is over, you have deployed your e-commerce portal successfully, right? You have released it to the market and people start using it. Only then the benefits will come, right?
No, I have a question here, Pankaj.
Yeah.
See, benefits in terms of value co-creation, it should be for both the like customer as well as service provider, or the supplier or the vendor. So I was talking in that term. Like if you talk about project benefits, so it will be in terms of revenue generation or cost realization. So that thing I was trying to understand whether that will be realized
Yeah,
when the
but
project is
see,
closed or in phases.
see what ITIL has said is correct that both customer and supplier co-create value, right? This is
Yes,
what,
yes.
right? That's okay. That's okay. They both co-create value. But when do they co-create value? After the project is delivered, right? During the service, during the operations, right? Yes or no? After the product is done,
Yes.
it is released to the market, only then it will be realized, right? Yes or no?
Yeah, that way it is yes.
Right? So now the purpose, see, do projects bring change, guys? Projects generally bring change, right? It can be improvement in productivity, it can be more sales, it can be cost effectiveness, it can be improvement in terms of quality, right? And a project closes after attaining the objectives, right? Projects bring change usually, right? Whereas the objective of operations is to sustain the business, right? Is the objective of operations to sustain the business or not? Yes or no? Because the
Yeah.
ultimate benefit realization will be there, right? And money will be actually realized there. So the business will be sustained based on that, right? And they have given an example here. This slide is an example. Prototyping the new car model is a project, and whereas assembly line production is an operations. Is it okay? Is that fine, guys? Now, let's take an example. Let's take an example. Let's do a short quiz. Now, tell me, out of all of these, which of the following is not an example of operational work? Out of all of these, which of the following is not an example of operational work?
The first one.
Right. So this is a project, right? Building a purchase order system for account payable, right? This is a project, right? I'm writing this is a project P.
Third one, Pankaj, deploying weekly antivirus.
These are all operations, right? Second is operations. Third is also operations. And the last one is also operations, right? Now, if instead of yearly staff performance evaluation, it was designing a staff performance evaluation, what is this?
Project.
Right? Project, right? This could have been project, right? Is that fine, guys? Now, let's talk about some of the important dimensions, right? Or some of the important constraints that may impact the performance of the project, right? Let's talk about that. Now, tell me, guys, you have 6 factors in front of you. Are these important variables that impact the performance of the project or not? Are these important variables that impact the performance of the project? Say yes or no. Is project impacted by scope, resources, time, risk, cost, and quality or not? Are these major variables that you have to manage and control while managing a project or not? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Now, and projects are usually constrained by this, right? These now see, I've shared 6 constraints, but there can be many more, like benefits can be a dimension or a constraint, right? Then customer satisfaction can be another dimension, but these are the 6 important or key constraints that we are talking about here, right? Now, let's consider the first dimension, right? Scope. Now, tell me, how important is scope of the project, right? Is scope an important variable or important dimension? Yes or no? Now, tell me, should the scope be fixed, right? Fixed, or should it be flexible? Tell me, should scope of a project be fixed or flexible?
Fixed.
So Mesara says fixed. What do you think?
Fixed.
Fixed, right? Anuj also says fixed, right? Other guys. Rohit, Pallavi, or should you say it depends? Or should you say it depends? Or should you say fixed or flexible depending on the nature of the project?
We try to have fixed because otherwise the planning will be hampered.
No, see, you are coming from only, we are not discussing one category of project here, Mesara. We are talking about project management here, right?
Right, right.
Now tell me, some projects are done in a stable environment, right? Where your thought process of having scope as a fixed will work. Some projects are done in relatively changing environment, and some projects are done in highly dynamic environment where the environment changes very fast. When I say environment is changing very fast, that means the needs of the customer are changing, the taste of the customers are changing very fast, very dynamically. Now tell me guys, how frequently a new version of the mobile get released in the market? Rohit, how frequently mobile phones are getting released in market? The new versions are coming.
Very frequently. Okay.
Is it a month? It's month, right?
Yeah, it's
Almost
month.
every month. See, if you
Almost
talk
month.
about, most of the brands in India, every month they are releasing new version.
Yes, correct.
Why they are releasing the new version? Is it because of a very dynamic market or not?
Yes.
Now tell me, in a dynamic environment or in a turbulent business environment where requirements are changing very frequently, can you keep your scope fixed?
No, it has to be very,
Right.
We have to cope up with the market.
Yeah, and you have to enable yourself to respond to these changes, right?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Nokia is a prime example.
Yeah. See, you might have heard about a term called as VUCA world. Have you heard about this term VUCA? Right? This VUCA represents turbulent business environment. Have you heard of this term, guys? The VUCA world?
Yeah.
No? Now, what does V stands for in VUCA? V stands for volatile. Right? U stands for uncertain. C stands for complex. A stands for ambiguous. Right? Now tell me, if you talk about smartphone industry today or many other industries today, are they in the VUCA world or not? Are they in the changing business environment or not? Yes or no? Forget about smartphone. Forget about smartphone. If you talk about, automobile industries, the recent cars with the kind of features they are coming with, right? Is it a stable, static business environment or changing business environment?
Changing environment.
It's a changing environment, right? So guys, in a changing business environment, can we freeze the scope? Can we freeze the scope, guys?
No.
No, right? But see, scope can be fixed or flexible, right? Based on our budget, we have to create our boundary, right, for scope, but you can be fixed or flexible depending on the nature of the project, right? And we have to manage the scope, manage and control scope very, very effectively, right? Now, we'll talk
But
about
Pankaj, I have a query here.
Yeah.
Whether the scope will be fixed or it will be flexible or situation dependent,
Mhm.
that will also be fixed in the beginning, right?
See, as a consultative approach with the customer, right? Uh, Generally, when the scope is flexible, right, and you are working in a turbulent business environment, rather than regular contracts, right, Ekta, you should go ahead with the agile contracts.
Yeah, I mean, or
Yeah.
maybe on the basis of pro rata contracts,
No. See, a project contract should be a agile contract based on collaboration, right? Now, how do we create agile contracts? We'll talk about this when we'll discuss procurement, right? Because these, when you're talking about uh, a flexible scope, that means you should have a mechanism to respond to change frequently, which agile is all about, right? Right? And that should be visible in the contract also, right? For example, you are saying that your scope is flexible, but you are signing a rigid fixed price contract with the customer, then it's a big failure, right? It won't work, right, Ekta?
yeah, yeah.
So now let's talk about another important dimension, quality, right? Now tell me, should quality be fixed or flexible, right? Quality is important, right? Every project should try to create fit for purpose and fit for use products. Now tell me, should quality be fixed or flexible? Quality, should it be fixed or flexible? Can you be flexible around quality or should you be highly rigid? Or it depends.
It will depend, I would say.
Quality should
We
be
should
fixed.
See,
we should aim for high quality, but yeah, it will depend.
see again, it depends on the nature of the product also, right? Nature of the deliverable also. For example, right? In some cases, can you afford some tolerance, some deviation from the benchmark, right? We have some quality tolerances, right? Right. For example, if there is a pipe or a rod, right, the diameter of the rod can be 1 centimeter plus minus 1 millimeter. You might have seen such deviation like this, right? So you can be flexible around this, right? But tell me, for some deliverables, right, which are related to life, right, or anything wrong that happens in that particular deliverable can lead to loss of life. For example, engine of an airplane. If I talk about engine of an airplane, can you afford a tolerance there?
No.
No. But when you talk about seat covers of airplane, can you afford some tolerance there?
Yeah.
Right? There can be some variation, right? So quality can also be fixed or flexed, right? Now, first we'll talk about time and cost, right? Now, time. Now, is it important to be on time and hit the deadline? Is it important to be on time and hit the deadline, guys?
Yes.
Right? Now, if you are not on time, if there are delays, will it impact the cost of the project? Yes or no?
But it will be dependent on the scope.
See, if instead of 3 months you deliver a project in 5 months, will it impact the cost also or not?
It will.
This is good.
Right? Your salaries are going for 5 months. Yes or no? Will it impact or not?
It will
Yes.
impact.
Right? Will it delay the benefit realization? Right? See, if you would have completed the project in 3 months after delivering the project, you should have started realizing the benefits. It can lead to delayed benefit realization, right? And it can damage your reputation, right, with the customer, which can impact the repeat business coming from the customer. Customer may not give you a repeat business, right? Is that okay?
Yes.
So, to be on time and hitting the deadline is very, very important. So you have to track, right? You have to plan well. You have to update the plan on continuous basis, and you should track the progress against the plan very well. Right? Now, cost. How important is to be within the budget in a project? Tell me, guys, how important it is for you to be within the budget? How important it is to be within budget, guys?
I mean, it is one of the most important constraint because it actually, you know, make the people recognize that we are handling it well or not.
So again, see, if project overshoots the budget, what will happen? The profitability will be negatively impacted or not? The ROI, the profitability will be negatively impacted, right? So, right, the business case may become invalid, right? So it is very, very important to be within the budget, right? Now, another dimension that we have to manage and control is risk. Now, what is a risk, guys? What is a risk? What is a risk, guys, and how it is different from issues?
I mean, risk is something that has a certainty of like it might happen, but the issue is something that has already happened and we are finding ways to handle it.
Okay. Okay. So can I say any uncertain event, should it occur, right? If there is any uncertain event, risks are any uncertain event, if it occurs, will have either positive or negative impact on the project outcome, right?
Yes.
Right? Now, I have used the word positive and negative, right? Can risk be positive also or not? See, a risk is an uncertain event. A risk is an uncertain event. Now, this uncertainty can be a threat, right? Or an opportunity. This uncertainty can be a threat or an opportunity, right? Now, tell me, if a threat materializes, what is the impact? If a threat materializes, what is the impact?
Negative.
Negative. If an opportunity materializes, what is the impact? Positive, right? Yes or no? For
Yeah.
example, when there was an outbreak of COVID in the town, right? When there was an outbreak of COVID in the town, for us, was COVID a threat or not? For us, COVID was a threat, right? But for pharmaceutical companies, was it an opportunity or a threat?
Opportunity.
Right? It was an opportunity, right? Now, tell me, what is the difference between risk and issues? How risk versus issues? Right? Risk versus issues. How risks are different from issues?
Like you already said that this could be positive or negative, but issues are negative only.
No. See,
No?
any uncertainty is a risk, right? But
Yeah.
issue is something which has already happened,
Yeah.
right? So you have to resolve it. So, something which, for example, if there is an outbreak of COVID in the town, right? Now, this is a risk, right, Pallavi? Is it a risk or not? It's a threat, right? So
But
how do you respond to that threat? You respond to this threat by, this is a threat for Pallavi, right? Or in all of us. So we respond by by getting vaccinated, by maintaining safe distancing, by wearing masks. This is our response to reduce this threat, right? But if we don't take these response measures, right? If we are ignorant towards this threat, right? We might catch COVID, right? When we have got COVID, is it a risk or an issue?
It's an issue. For risk, you can have a mitigation plan and contingency plan. Issue is something which has already happened, so
Happened.
there
So
is
we
no
have to resolve
mitigation
it.
plan.
So we have to
So we
resolve it,
need to resolve it.
right? Now tell me, which is better, responding to risk or resolving an issue? Most of the times, responding to a risk, right? Yes or no?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's the reason why, an effective project manager should continuously identify, should continuously assess risk and respond to them. Is that fine? Is that okay, guys? Now,
Yes.
our sixth constraint that we are going to talk about, the sixth dimension, which is again important, is resources. Right?
Pankaj, I have
Now,
a question.
yeah, sure, Pallavi.
Can risk also I understood risk very well by the examples and everything. Can issue also be like positive or negative?
No, issues are generally negative, right? The
Okay.
impact of the issue will be generally negative, right?
Okay.
Now, resources. Now, see, the resources here will include both physical and human resources, right? Both are important, right? Both needs to be managed, right? In fact, when you talk about human resources, they should be developed and managed, right? When you talk about physical resources, they should be planned, managed, and controlled, right? Can you understand? Physical resources are managed and controlled, whereas human resources are developed and managed, right? And both are important, right? Your funding is also a resource, right? Your machinery is also a resource, and you have a human resource also. And it's a very important dimension, right? That we have to manage and control or manage or develop in the project, right? Is that fine? Now, any questions on the six constraints or the six dimensions we have discussed so far? Any questions on these, guys?
On the resources thing, you said for humans, we develop and manage.
Obviously, if there's a human resource, we have to develop them, right? By improvising their skills through mentoring, coaching, and we have to manage their performance also, right?
Yeah.
For physical resources, they should be managed and controlled, right?
Okay. Yeah. Understood.
Right. So any questions on the 6 variables or constraints, guys? Any questions on these?
Resource, can you explain once again? Yeah, I'm a little confused because you mentioned that they are
See, these
res-
resources may be physical or human, right?
hmm.
Your human resources are
Human.
people, right? People.
Yes,
But
correct.
now in project, we have physical resources also, like hardware, software, right? Machinery,
Correct.
right? So they are physical resources. Now, when we talk about human resources, they should be developed, right?
Okay.
You should improvise their skills. You should mentor them, coach them. You should have a training plan for them. You should have a career development plan for them, right?
Correct.
They should be developed and managed, right? Whereas
Yes.
physical resources should be managed and controlled.
Yes, correct.
Is it fine?
Yes.
Right. Now, guys, can we take a short 10 minutes break? Then we'll start again.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll take a short break. Then we'll start with the project triangle, right? Now, guys, can you see 2 different triangles? A normal triangle and an inverted triangle. Have you seen project triangle before? You can refer to any of this picture, right? Have you seen a project triangle before?
No, I haven't seen that.
So haven't you seen this scope, time, and cost triangle? Now, see, there are 2 different triangles to handle 2 different categories of project, right? The first triangle is plan driven, right? Another inverted triangle is more value or vision driven, right? The first triangle, this is more relevant for predictable project, right? Waterfall projects where the scope is relatively fixed or freezed, right? In the case of flexible scope, we follow this approach, the adaptive process or agile approach, right? The inverted triangle, right, is used as a concept for agile. Now, both are relevant, but in their own context. First, let's talk about uh, the triangle, which is not inverted, right? Now, the first triangle is used when the requirements are fixed, right? This is used in case of fixed requirements, right? Requirements are what? Fixed, guys. I'm writing fixed requirements here. Now, guys, if requirements are fixed, now, or the scope is signed off with a fixed requirement, if a change request comes in, if a change request or CR comes in, what do? We assess the impact of a change, right, on cost and schedule, right? We assess how this change request right, can impact the cost, the schedule, the overall business case, the other requirements, right? We do this assessment in a change request document. And this change request document goes to the relevant change authority or the change control board. The change control board review and assess, right, the change. If they approve the change, we modify both cost and schedule. Both cost and schedule are modified, right? So in this triangle, the requirements are fixed, right? If there are any new requirements, we modify cost and schedule, right? Sometimes in some book, you will see it as a scope, time, and cost, right? Instead of requirement, schedule, and cost. This approach is called as plan-driven. Any question about plan-driven approach? This approach is used when the scope is fixed or freezed. Guys, any question on plan-driven, right? Any question on predictive or this triangle, right? No questions? Anuj, are you okay? Sunil, Mesara, Pallavi, Ekta?
But Pankaj, like as far as like I have studied, like we always used to say that we do not accept or entertain changes in waterfall approach. So how does that happen? I mean, if we are accepting the changes, we are resending the plan all over again.
See, even in waterfall, some modification can happen, but there is a thorough change control mechanism through which you will do it.
Okay.
Right? So I said, you have to create a change request with a very thorough assessment of how the change will impact scope, the other requirements, the time, the cost, the business case. This detailed change request assessment document, right? This CR document, change request document, will go to the relevant change authority or change control board. Now they will review and assess the change, right? If they feel it's okay, they will approve. See, if they reject the change, we can't do it. But if they approve the change, then we have to update the cost and schedule. Right?
Okay.
See, waterfall means, a kind of project where that changes are fixed, right? The changes are freezed. Is that okay?
Yeah, okay.
Are you okay with this? Now, let's talk about another scenario, right? Where the market is dynamic. There's a turbulent business environment. I'm talking about VUCA world, right? Now, in the VUCA world, how changes are handled, let's talk about it. Now, in the VUCA world, in a turbulent business environment, right, we try to fix cost and schedule because requirements are, we try to fix, right? We try to fix what? Cost and schedule, because scope constantly change, right? Features are flexible. Now, the requirements keep on changing in this adaptive or agile approach, right? Features are flexible. So tell me, if I'm saying I have to fix cost and schedule, this means we should implement change for free. Right? Now tell me, guys, can we implement change for free?
No.
Now, guys, can we implement change for free? No? Or some people think about it, yes also.
We can do the change for free till the time it is within the budgeted cost, and if it's going above the budgeted cost, then
Now,
we
let me show you how to do change for free, right? How to implement this change for free, right? In an agile environment. Let's see it through an example. Now look at this diagram carefully. Look at this diagram very carefully. Now, what is the y-axis here? Guys, what is the y-axis here? The business value, right? Now, how to arrange the requirements by value, right? You know, there are a lot of prioritization techniques that you will go through. Like, you know, some people here have already gone through those, like paired comparison, right? 100-point or $100 method, right? Or weighted shortage of first, right? Now, this x-axis is time. This is business value. This is time, right? Now, suppose in a project you want a new requirement, a change, right? In a project, let's say you have a very, very high priority change, right? Let's say this is a very high priority change. Very high priority change need to be implemented, right? Now, can you add this in the scope and drop a low priority one like this? Can you add this and drop one or more low priority ones?
But if
which are not must have.
these two are comparable, then only.
Say that again.
If these two features are comparable in terms of complexity.
In terms of time and cost, right? So it can be one or two, right? Which are least priority ones, right? Which do not add value and which are not must-haves. Suppose this, as per the market demand, this change is must to have change, right? In the upcoming release, you can add this and you can remove one or two low priority ones. Can you do this trade-off? Yes or no?
Ideally, yes, we should.
Right? Now, again, the only thing is, you know, if all the requirements are must-have, then you can't do it. Right? So again,
Yes,
everything is conditional, right? Depending on the situation, right? If in an agile environment, right, in an adaptive environment, you have to implement a change which is very, very critical, and you have some requirements which are not must-have, and or some requirements which are low priority ones, you can trade this feature, right? For example, you can add this and remove the low priority ones. This is how it works, right? This is how the inverted triangle works in an adaptive environment. Is that fine? Is that okay, guys?
Yes. Pankaj, can you give me some example for this?
See, you know,
I'm
you
not
can
able to relate.
see again, you know, I'll simply say 80-20 rule, right? See, Ekta, you have a smartphone or smart television at your home. Do you use all the features of the smartphone or mobile or, you know, the smart television that you have at home?
No.
Right? All the features are not must to have, right? So if, you know, so the same thing can happen with any other product also, right? During the development, you know, you can, if something is very mandatory, you know, something is mandatory, you can add that and you can remove the low priority ones of equivalent cost. Because majority of people don't use it. Right, Ekta?
Okay, got it.
Right? See, again, you know, don't try to adopt this approach in a predictive environment. See, projects are different. You know, projects are different, so different strategies are required to manage and control them. This change for free. I am talking about this in agile context where the business environment is continuously changing, right? So you have to constantly prioritize and focus on high priorities only, right? Whereas this triangle, the plan-driven one, is used in predictive process where scope is relatively fixed. See, guys, we can have different projects. We can have smartphone project, we can have smart television project, we can have smart city project, we can have we might build a fintech app or a or a cab management app, right? Or a fitness app, or we might construct a mall, right? We might do interiors of a house. They're all different projects, right? So should they be managed in the same way, or there can't be a one size fits all approach, right? There should be unique approach for all these different categories. Should there be one size fits all approach, or should be unique approach for these different categories?
I mean, one size fits all can't be taken for
Can't be
all the
possible,
projects.
right? Yeah, because there are
Yes.
different ways, different projects, so they should be managed differently, right? Is that okay?
Yes.
Now, let's do a small question on the constraints. Now, could you please try this question yourself? A project manager is running a data center installation project. He finds that his stakeholder is angry that he's run over his budget because the staff turned out to be more expensive than planned. The stakeholders are unhappy that when the project is over, the server won't have as much drive space as he needs. Which of the following constraints was not affected by this problem?
Time.
So, okay. So guys, if you look at this, is cost impacted? They have clearly said run over the budget. Is quality impacted? Is quality impacted?
Yes, because the drive space is less.
Right? And which means resources are also less, right?
Right, right. So it's time.
And stakeholders are unhappy, right? So quality, resources, and cost all are impacted, right? Time is not impacted. Is that okay, guys? Now,
Yes.
now we are going to start with Stacy's complexity model, right? Which is actually the foundation, right? Which is the foundation of the present PMP, right? This is Stacy's complexity model in front of you, right? Now see our life cycle selection, the foundation of project management, I'll say, is this model. This is a Stacy's complexity model, right? I'll give you 2 minutes, right, to think, right, and try to understand this model yourself first, right? Now, before you start going through this diagram yourself, right, I'll see, I'd like to tell you that the y-axis here is uncertainty with respect to the requirements, right? As you move up, the uncertainty with respect to the requirement increases. The x-axis is the technical uncertainty. As you move from left to right, the technical uncertainty increases, right? Now, please spend 2 minutes on this picture of Stacy's complexity model, then we'll talk further.
Okay.
Now, based on this diagram, guys, right, you might see that, we have categorize the projects as simple, complicated, complex, and chaos, right? The projects have been categorized as simple, complicated, complex, and chaos. Now, the projects where the uncertainty with respect to requirements, right, is very less. The projects where the uncertainty with respect to technology is very less. What is the category for those projects? What is the category for those projects, guys?
Simple.
Simple, right? They're simple projects. Do we all agree?
Yes.
Right? Now, can you give me some example of simple projects? Can you give me some example of simple projects, right?
Making a road.
Say that again.
Making a road.
Making a road can be simple or complex. Yeah, it can be simple if it's a regular road. Yes.
Yes.
Now, Ruchi, if I ask you to roll out if I give you a laptop rollout project, right? If I ask you, right, to
Or just the
configure.
password change.
Yeah. Say that again.
I mean,
Yeah.
just the changing the or implementing some tool in already existing IT environment,
A
or
simple
adding
tool.
some tool,
A simple
simple
tool.
tool,
Implementation of a
maybe a
simple
SAP
tool.
tool,
Now,
maybe a timesheet tool, something like that.
yeah, okay, yeah. It can be a simple project. For example, if I ask you to, deploy and configure 50 laptops, right, for a client, right? And where I have given you clear specification regarding the configuration, and it has to be deployed
Correct.
at client's place. Is it a simple project or not?
Yes, yes.
Right? This laptop rollout is a simple project, right? Or else, suppose let's say I am doing interiors of my house, right? I call Ekta, right? Ekta, you have to do interiors of my house. And I have 5 pages where I have defined everything. I have defined everything, for example, how wardrobes have to be done, how roofing has to be done, how flooring has to be done, how restrooms have to be done, how kitchen area has to be done. I I defined it. I defined everything very, very clearly in those 5 pages. And then I'll ask Ekta, please strictly adhere to these 5 changes. You have to simply follow this scope of work, right? Don't deviate from this, right? Is it a simple project or not,
Yes, it is simple.
right? So, those projects where requirements are almost clear, right? The requirements, the uncertainty related to requirements are very less, right? Or the uncertainty with respect to technology is very less. They are called as simple projects, right? Now, for simple projects, what type of approach should you adopt? What type of life cycle should you adopt? Can it be predictive or waterfall model?
Yes.
Right? It can be predictive or waterfall model, right? Now, then there is a range like this, right? In the middle, can you see complicated to complex?
Yes.
Right? Now, complicated to complex is a zone where, where the requirement and technology uncertainty are increasing. Now, what is a complicated and what is a complex zone, right? In, the agility, the agile approaches will work in these areas. Now, what is a complicated projects, right? Now, see, there are projects where outcome is known, the end goal is known, right? The outcome of a project is known, right? This is the outcome. And to reach the destination, there are multiple ways. But you have to find out the best way to reach the destination. Such projects are complicated projects, right? Because there are a lot of uncertainties. So you have to constantly collaborate with the customer, right? You have to constantly review so that you use the best possible path to reach the destination. Such projects are complicated projects, right? Is that okay? For example, you have to travel from your home to airport, which is 50 kilometers away from your house in a dark, foggy weather, right? You know your destination, it's airport. Now tell me, in a dark, foggy weather, can you predict the route, the exact route, or you have to constantly collaborate with your GPS, right? And pick the best route accordingly. See, in a dark, foggy weather, there can be accidents, there can be breakdowns, there can be traffic jams, right?
So we have to trust the GPS then.
Yeah, right. And you not will you look at the GPS once or will you look it on regular basis? Regular basis, right?
Regular basis.
Right. So such projects are complicated, right? You know the destination, you have to reach the airport, but there are multiple ways, right, to reach the airport, right? Now, can there be some projects where where even success is not guaranteed, where the outcome that you are thinking of, right, is the probability of achieving that outcome is very less? Can there be such projects also or not? COVID vaccine. Now, everybody was putting efforts, all the pharmaceutical companies were putting efforts towards creation of that vaccine. But was the success guaranteed?
No.
No. Such projects are complex, right? Now, climbing a Mount Everest, right? Is it guaranteed that you will reach the Mount Everest?
No, there are
No.
many hurdles in
So
between.
as we move from, complicated to complex level, the level of agility required would be more and more, right? Is that okay? Is that okay
Yes.
or not? Right?
Yes.
Now, the fourth category is chaos, where these are fundamentally risky projects, far from agreement in terms of requirement, far from agreement from the technology uncertainty is also very high in this case, right? Chaos. Now, tell me, if the project is at this level where neither you are sure about requirements nor you are sure about technology, should you plan at that level or should you get more? You should spend some more time. You should do some more research to get some more understanding about the project.
More
And
research is
you
required.
should do some research, right? In fact, if
Yes.
you think about COVID vaccine, right? Initially it was in chaos only, right? A research was carried out to understand the behavior of the virus, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Right? Once it moved into complex zone, then only the efforts were made by different pharmaceutical companies like AstraZeneca and other ones, right? Yes or no? Now, see, one of the important benefit of this stasis complexity model is, right, it helps you to understand the project, whether it falls under simple zone or complicated or complex or chaos, right? And you can design your approach to manage the project accordingly, right? For example, for simple, right, we can use predictive. For complicated, right, we can use either a phased approach or a incremental or iterative approach. For complex, definitely only incremental and iterative, which is agile, right? Generally, agility will increase, right, as you move from complicated to complex, right? For project in chaos, we require more research and more understanding, right? Now, any question about the Stacy's complexity model? Any question about Stacy's complexity model, guys, before we move forward?
Here, how adaptive, this line mentioned adaptive approaches work well here. I
Adaptive
am
means
confused
agile
here.
approaches. Agile
Yeah.
approaches.
So how agile is better here? Okay, we are not clear about environments, everything.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about how agile approaches work first of all, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's agile is all about collaborate, inspect, and adapt, right?
Correct.
Right. So those approaches will work in this zone. Right?
Okay, where you were explaining
uh,
airplane example, right?
Say that again.
I have to ask one question here for adaptive approaches.
Yeah.
For agile, you were saying. So, do we mean to say that we are middle for the? I mean, as far as the agreement is concerned, we are in middle, and we are in technical capability wise also we are in middle. That's what
Yeah, but
I mean to
see,
say.
agile can be, as you move forward, more and more agility will be required. Right? Because a complex, a complex zone is somewhere there, right? Both are, the uncertainty is high in both the cases, right? Not in the middle. Right? This whole range is for agile, but the level of agility will increase as you move from this point to this point, right? You have to be more and more agile as you move from left to right.
And for this Chow's state,
Chaos.
I mean, chaos state, which approach will work?
No approach will work. Go and get better understanding first. Right? Do some research work, get more clarity, at least bring it down to this level.
Okay.
Then plan. Right? Is that okay, Ekta?
Yeah, Pankaj.
You require more clarity. You need to do more research. So just imagine, when COVID vaccine was developed, a lot of research was carried out to understand the behavior of the virus, right? Only after a lot of research, then companies started moving towards the vaccine. Right, guys? So shall we move forward?
Yes.
Right? Now, the first we will start with different project life cycle. I'm starting with the first one, the predictive model, right? This is a predictive model suitable when the project is simple, when the uncertainty related to requirement is very less, and when the uncertainty related to technology is very less, right? Now, it has some drawbacks also, right? It has some drawbacks also. Now, suppose you have a 12-month project, right? The project is 12 months. Now, tell me, now this is a waterfall model. You have requirements, then feasibility, then planning, then design, then construct, right? Right? Then test and then turnover. Or tell me where customer is seeing the product, the actually functional product. Where is customer seeing the actual product?
At the time of turnover.
Test or maybe testing or testing he may
Yeah,
be in
maybe
turnover,
testing.
or let's say turnover, right? Now this will be around 10 months. Right?
Yeah.
After 10 months, customer get to see the working functionality, right? Now tell me, if customer is seeing the working functionality, after 10 months, how likely it is that customer might say, I wanted a sedan car, you are giving me a hatchback car. I wanted an airplane, you are giving me a car. How likely it can happen?
5%.
It can happen, right, Anuj?
Yeah, definitely. The probability is more.
Right. Now, if it happens, then again you have to start from the beginning.
Yes.
Right? Then again you have to start from here. Now tell me, is it suitable for, is this kind of model suitable for big projects? Like
No.
this? No. Right? But can be very efficient, right? For projects which are small, right? And the clarity and those projects for which clarity of requirement and technology is high. Right? For example, if a doctor is doing a bypass surgery, right, or a knee replacement surgery, right? If a doctor is doing a bypass surgery or knee replacement surgery, can we use this approach? Yes, we can use this
Yes.
approach because everything is predefined, right? Because if you see, any knee replacement surgery, right, in any of the good hospital, they follow the same predictive model, right? This approach. But even if requirements are stable, relatively stable, not very stable, see, and the project is big, it can be risky, right? So again, this can be very suitable model for certain scenarios, right? But can be a problematic for certain other scenarios. So would we use predictive, guys? When the project is small, requirements are clear, right? You have no ambiguities with respect to uh, requirements or technology. We can use this model, right? Is that fine?
Yes.
Right. Now the second type of this life cycle is what? This is a predictive model or waterfall. The second approach is incremental, right? Or a phased approach. Now tell me, if requirements are relatively stable, some changes might come, right? Requirements are relatively stable. Some changes can be there, right? And the project is huge, a big project, like, you have to develop a township. Now tell me, would you like to develop that kind of project as a single stage, right? If a project is huge, right, a big township to be developed, right? Requirements are not that fluctuating. Can be changing, but not that fluctuating, right? Now, would you like to manage such big projects like a waterfall approach, or would you like to have to mitigate your risks? Would you like to have a staged approach? Tell me, which approach would you like? Which approach would you like? The second one or the first one?
The second one.
The second one, right? This is called as incremental model or a phased model, phased approach or a staged approach. Now, What is the benefit of this approach? One of the benefits is at the end of every stage, can we do review and retrospective? Can we assess our performance with respect to plan? And can we consolidate learning, right, at the end of the stage? And based on that, can we take corrective and preventive action for the successor stage? Yes or no?
Yes.
This is one benefit. Second, many times benefit realized from the completion of the first stage can be used to fund subsequent stages. So your funds can also be better managed, right? Yes or no?
Yeah, but Pankaj, I have a question here.
Yeah.
Like, even if we are going for a big township or something like that, like even if we are, going for building. So in that case, also we used to make a proper plan out of it, and then we start working towards it.
Yes.
I mean, a prototype and everything.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
see, plan is important, right? Plan is
Yeah.
important. See, I'll tell you. That's why we discuss about progressive elaboration and rolling wave planning, Pallavi, right?
Correct.
Now, see, now can you see the stage?
Yeah.
These stages or phases are based on planning horizon,
Okay.
right? Because see, in a very huge big project, which might be a 2-year project, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can't see till the end very clearly. See, can you see very clearly for a 24-month time horizon, right?
No. Yeah.
So, but there's a time, because see, requirements are not that unstable here, but you can be sure that okay, for next 3 months, this is what I have to do. Next 3 to 4 months,
Correct.
right? So the phases will be generally 3 to 4 months, right?
Good.
For example, if it's an year project, it can be 4, 4 and 4, or 5, 3 and 4, right? Or 5, 4 or 3, right? Like this. Is that okay? But yes, so you will follow the rolling wave planning approach. Now, what does it say? Overall plan for the end till the end, right?
Yeah.
Detailed, see, this is a roadmap. Roadmap till then, detailed plan for the first stage and high level plan for the second and third. Now, by the time you reach the end of the first stage, you can have a detailed plan for this and high level plan for this, right?
Okay. Understood. Yeah.
Right. So this is a difference, right? Whereas in case of waterfall model, you create a detailed plan right in the beginning. Is that fine?
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Right. Now, any question on incremental approach, right? So when the project is huge, big, requirements may be relatively stable, right? But can change. Funding is a constraint. Which model you are going to use? Incremental or phased approach, right? Is that
Yeah.
okay? Now, there is a term which is used in this approach, which sometimes they ask in the PMP exam also. There is something called as, kill points. Have you heard of this term, kill points? Or stage gate
Stage gate, I don't know.
or phase gate? In
Yes.
organizations, generally use the word
Phase gate.
toll gate actually. A lot of places like Ericsson you use, and many other places, phase exits. Right? These are same, right? The end points, right? These end points, right? They're called as what? Kill points. Right? At these points, you assess the performance. Right? At these points, you assess the performance of the project, right, on regular basis. Right? So not regular. When you reach this point, you assess the performance of uh, the project, and based on the assessment, you find out right? Whether the project is viable or not. You check the ongoing viability of the project based on the performance here, right? For example, at this point, if you found that project is not viable, it is not a worthwhile investment proposition, will you go ahead with the subsequent stages?
No.
No, right? Or you can change the direction, right? So, the purpose of this point, right, this phase exit or kill point is to assess the performance of the project with respect to all the important variables like scope, time, cost, benefits, right? And take corrective or preventive action based on, right, the performance, right? Or apply learning from the performance of the phase to the subsequent phases. Now, this is a incremental life cycle or staged approach. Any question on this, guys? Any questions?
No.
No? Okay. So can we move to the next life cycle, right?
Yes.
Which is agile, incremental, and iterative.
So incremental and agile are different because agile is also called as iterative approach.
See, agile is incremental and iterative both.
Okay.
Though even incremental has some level of agility, but when I say agile, right, like when you talk about frameworks like Scrum, they're incremental
Hmm.
and iterative.
Okay.
Right? Sorry.
So
Now,
basically, in incremental, we are completing one stage and then we are moving to next stage and then testing and all.
in iterative, we are refining all.
Okay.
Right? Now, first of all, before we get into agile, we should understand the difference between incremental and iterative. Can we see the difference?
Yes, please.
Right? Then we come back to this. Can you see this picture of Mona Lisa?
Yes.
The first approach is only iterative. What I'm doing in iterative? I have created the whole sketch and then am I refining it as I move forward?
Yes.
This is iterative. Now, what is incremental? I am incrementally building the picture, right? For example, if there is a township, first I'll create a low-rise apartment, then high-rise, right? Then villas, then club area. This is incremental, right?
Correct.
And the last one is incremental and iterative, which is actually agile. Look at the last picture. Is
So
it fine?
basically, we have a idea of a structure, basic structure, and then we are working on incremental, like completing it by steps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, how does agile, incremental, and iterative work? Right? Now, tell me, guys, in our phased approaches, this was a phased approach, right? Incremental approach. Was this an incremental approach or not? Right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Now, what was the time horizon for a stage? Around 3 months. Right?
Yes, for the first one.
Now, tell me, if a project is done in a turbulent business environment, right, where you cannot be sure of the requirement, when your time horizon, when you can, when you can clearly define something for only a month or less than that, you cannot see beyond a month. At max, you can see whatever you have to do in 4 weeks or 3 weeks or 2 weeks, right? Max. The time horizon can be maximum 4 weeks or less. In that case, can you plan even a stage in details? Can you plan a stage in details?
No.
No, right? So, what you have to do is you have to break stages into small sprints or iterations. Right? Like this. Now, the size of this should be less than a month. Now, depending on the frequency at which, at which your business environment change, depending on the rate at which your business environment change, this can be 1 week or 2 week or 3 week or maximum 4 weeks, right? It should be less than a month. Now, this becomes our sprint. So we can have a detailed plan for a sprint, but high level plan for the subsequent ones, right? Now, at the end of this sprint, we'll do review and retrospective. Whatever we were calling a stage now becomes a release. This becomes release. These are sprints or iterations, right? Now, since the rate at which business environment is changing is very frequent, right? So we have to review and retrospect at the end of every sprint now. Now, are you able to interpret the difference between incremental and this one, the incremental and iterative or agile approach? Are you able to interpret the difference, guys?
Yes.
Right?
No, I'm not.
Now, Ruchi, see, in agile, suppose the market is changing very frequently.
Correct.
Can you plan for the stage?
No.
You can plan, but you can plan at a very high level. You cannot predict
Correct.
anything, right? So you
Correct.
have a high level plan for the stage. But
Yes.
tell me, can you plan for 2 weeks?
Yes.
Right? Now it should be less than a month. It can be depending on the situation. It can be 4 weeks, it can be 3 weeks, it can be 2 weeks, right? For example,
Correct.
if it is automobiles, it can be 4 weeks. For
Hmm.
mobile smartphones, it can be 2 weeks, right? So what
Correct.
you will do is you will divide this whole space into its equal size iterations, right? Which can be 2 weeks or 4 weeks, depending on the situation, right?
Correct.
Now you will review and retrospect at the end of every sprint,
Yes.
right? So in this case, you will have a detailed plan at sprint level at first sprint, then high level plan for second. As you move forward, again, rolling wave planning will be followed. So whatever you are doing at a stage level, you will start doing it at a iteration level, right?
Correct.
Right? Is that okay?
Yes.
See, because it's a changing business environment. So if it's a changing business environment, should you do frequent reviews and frequent adjustments? Ekta, should you do frequent reviews and frequent adjustments or not?
Yes,
Right?
yes, Pankaj.
Now, see, again, if you look at it very carefully, everything is derived from a standard plan, do, check, and act cycle. Guys, have you heard about PDCA cycle? Plan, do, check and act. Have
Yes.
you? Right? Now tell me, what is this PDCA cycle? P stands for plan. You plan the work? Yes or no?
Yes.
D stands for what? Execute.
Execute or do.
Do, right?
Yeah.
Then you validate, testing.
Check.
You check or not? Yes or no?
Yes.
A stands for adjust or act.
Act.
Now tell me, do you retrospect or not? Do you learn from whatever you have done so far so that you can improve? Yes or no?
Yes.
Right? So learnings are consolidated so that they're not repeated again, right? Now tell me, if you look very carefully, if I talk about waterfall model, in case of waterfall, this was like a waterfall, right? Let's say this is waterfall. In this waterfall model, we have PDCA, right? In a single stage,
Yes.
right? Now, if I have an incremental approach, this is incremental approach. If I have an incremental approach, do I have PDCA at every level, at every stage level?
Yes. At stage level.
Right? Now, in case of Agile, these stages are further divided into sprints. Yes or no?
Yes.
Now, suppose these are the sprints. Now tell me, at every sprint we have PDCA or not?
Yes. We are doing retrospective after every sprint, so every sprint has PDC.
Yeah, this is what we are doing actually. And does it make sense or not? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Right? Therefore, this is a basic wisdom, right? Right? Now, tell me, let's talk about performance of a student in a school, right? Annual performance. Right? If you only evaluate the student at the end of year, which type of life cycle it would be?
Predictive.
Productive. And can there be risk associated with this? Can it be risky? If there are only N1 examination,
Yes.
Now you will not get time to improve.
or probably will assume that he's learning.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if let's say we improvise a little bit, right? For example, we decided, okay, every quarter we are going to review him. If we review him every quarter, right? Is it equivalent to incremental approach?
Yep.
See, every quarter they can have exams, but it may work for some students, it may not work for some students, right? Right?
Yes.
So, but again, we can improve based on whatever we have done every quarter. Now, tell me, if rather than relying on this quarter, if we start doing monthly tests and monthly feedback mechanism, and improving as per that feedback, with what type of life cycle it would be?
Agile.
Incremental and iterative, yes or no?
Yes.
Right? So again, see, I just gave you this example, but in some projects, predictive will work. In some projects, incremental will work, and in some projects, incremental and iterative will work, right? The agile will work. For example, if it's a very simple, small project, right? A 1 month project, the requirements are absolutely known. Technology is absolutely known. What type of project lifecycle approach will you use? Which one will you use?
Waterfall.
Waterfall. If the project is huge, like a smart city project to be done in 2 years, requirements are not very much changing, right? But again, you can easily predict, plan for 3 to 4 months planning horizon. Which type of methodology? Which life cycle?
Incremental life cycle.
Incremental, right? Now, the third situation can be requirements are changing very, very frequently, almost every month, or maybe beyond that. Which life cycle?
Incremental and incremental.
Yeah, which is called as agile, right?
Agile.
So, is it clear that how to apply project life cycle based on the nature of the project? Is it clear how to apply the project life cycle based on the nature of the project?
Yes.
Anuj, Ekta, Mehsara, is it clear to all of you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, another important thing, right? See, can there be projects, right, where a hybrid may be required, a combination of all of these together? See, a big projects can have components. Some components can be done using predictive, some can be done using agile, some can be done using incremental. Can it be possible? Right? The fourth category, right, is hybrid. Right? Now let's talk about hybrid. Can we talk about hybrid now? We'll see different flavors, different situations where hybrid can be applied. Now, look at this project. In this situation, in this project, we have agile and predictive together, right? Now, how we are using agile and predictive here? Now, we are doing development in agile, but rollout in predictive. For example, if I have to develop a antivirus, guys, if I have to develop an antivirus, right? Now tell me, developing an antivirus based on the new malwares that are coming in, right? Tell me, is agile more suitable here or not? To develop or enhance an antivirus, is agile the better choice?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, once it is developed, rolling out, can you roll it out using predictive? Deployment can be done using predictive, guys, right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? So this is one scenario of hybrid, right? Second scenario can be agile and predictive together. Some components in a project using agile, some components in a project using predictive. Now let's take an example of building an airport, right? Building an airport is a big, huge project. Mehsara, yes or no?
Yeah. Yes.
Now, in airport, we have some components like, utilities, right, which can be done using predictive. There are a lot of construction related projects like, the runways, the multi-level parking, the check-in area, the buildings and all, they can be done using incremental, right? Now, airport has highly, sophisticated systems also, like, various IoT and AI enabled systems. Plus, they have a flight management system, right? They have CRM systems, right? And other systems, right? For example, flight management system. It's a very, very important system, right? And should be continuously upgraded. Now tell me, for this AI-based systems, flight management systems, like, and other AI systems, IoT related systems, right? Can we follow Agile?
Yes.
Right? So again, some components like flight management system, CRM systems, they can be done using Agile, while non-Agile can be applied to other areas, right? Is that okay? Is that okay, guys?
Yes.
Now, I have discussed scenarios related to hybrid also with you, right? So, uh, if you have any questions on hybrid, you can ask. Else, we'll wrap up the session here today.
Pankaj, I wanted to check the first example you took for the hybrid approach, wherein we are building a antivirus.
Yeah.
So I understood that the development is we can do it in agile using agile approach because every month or new viruses can come. But I couldn't understand the deployment part. You said the deployment can be predictive. How does that?
The rollout can be predictive, right? It's a simple waterfall model, right? For example, if you have created a new version of a antivirus, you can roll out. The first rollout can be a project, right?
Yeah.
So you can plan it in a predictive manner, right? For example, suppose for a client A, you have to implement it, right? You can roll it out in a it's simple rollout, right?
Yeah.
So, again, it's just an example. For example, developing a COVID vaccine was agile, right?
Yeah.
But when it was rolled out, when people were getting vaccinated, that project can be predictive, right?
Okay. Yeah. Understood.
Yeah. Any other question, guys? Right? If we don't have any questions, can we wrap up the session here today?
Yeah, I'm good.
Right? So guys, we'll catch up next weekend at the same time.
Yes.
Right? Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Pankaj.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye bye.
Pankaj.
Bye.
Thanks,
Take care.
Pankaj.
Thanks. Bye. Take care. हाँ बोल देता हूँ मैं